quickly introduce myself. I'm the co-founder at SyntraLabs. We run around 100 A/B tests at any given moment. We do this for a lot of 8 and 9 figure brands. We work with many brands in the US, Europe, starting to work with more brands in China and Asia as well. So looking to create an edge in the market there. That's why it would be perfect to be in Hanoi now, but unfortunately not. The company is SyntraLabs. You can find me on X at CRO Wizard Stef. Let's get into it, right? So I'm going to talk about why is A/B testing the foundation of CRO, and what are some real case studies that we can go into, and what are common pitfalls that I've seen. So you're going to learn what makes a test actually worth running, what metrics do you look at if it's not conversion rate, and why so many tests fail even when they look like winners initially, right? So to get started with why most tests fail, I think this here is a perfect example of one of those tests. And we see this so often, right? The first few days, it looks like such a clear winner, right? The control group, or it looks like a clear loser. The control group is significantly outperforming group B. And the reason we never killed the test initially is because we saw the trend. We saw these things moving together, right? So at first, control group is winning, and you cannot kill it within the first days, right? We always try to wait at least 2 weeks. Now, there's multiple things to look at, but as you can see here, there's a very unstable trend. So that gives you a reason not to actually end the test, because you have no clue what's happening there. You don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to spread out again? Is control group actually winning significantly or not? Now, as you can see here, if we would have made any decision before April 6th, it would have been the wrong call, and we would have been stuck with an underperforming version. Because after this, with a lot more orders coming in, group B is consistently winning, and it's still going in that direction. Now, this is a perfect example of something that I've learned throughout my journey in CRO. So when I started out with my brands as well, I ran a lot of tests that I thought were guaranteed winners. I would redesign entire product pages. I thought they looked a lot better. I would look at what big brands are doing, and I adopt their strategies. All of these consistently failed for me when I tested them at scale. And the reason for that is very simple, right? You're acting upon your gut feeling and upon any design preference. And that's not the way to test, right? So without data to support anything you want to test, there's no real reason to run a test. And that's the main thing I want to bring with you today, along with many other things that we're going to go into. I think this is a very good starting point. So obviously what you want to know based off that is, how do you actually make a good A/B test? What does a good A/B test look like? Now, A/B tests should be designed to answer a specific question rather than testing random changes. And that specific question can come from a lot of places. They come from ads. You see something performing well. You don't know whether the consumer actually cares about that, or it's the ad or something else. That's something you test, right? Now, there are 3 key principles to running a strong A/B test. First one is that you have an hypothesis that is rooted in data. So you actually test something, a place where you expect a change to improve performance, and not just anything that you want to try. You have a clear success metric. Ideally, is profit per visitor or revenue per visitor, and not conversion rate or AOV. You also test the right lever. Many brands, they waste a lot of time testing minor details. This works amazingly if you do tens of millions of dollars a month, right? You get a lot of orders in, you can test very small changes. But other than that, if you test a button color or very minimal design tweaks, they're not going to make sense for the most amount of brands. So you want to test what truly drives revenue, and that is your offer, that is your messaging, and that is your pricing. Now, I want to go over some real case studies before I go even deeper in how we test and what that looks like, so that you can just see the scale that you can expect with some of the tests. Now, one thing is checkout optimization. So we see that some simple changes increase conversions or checkout completion by 42%. That's a case that we actually see. And this is something that you can apply right away after this seminar. And this is what it looks like. Now, This is your standard Shopify checkout page. And you may think there's nothing wrong with this, right? This one looks very nice. It's a very famous D2C brand, Javi Coffee. We work a lot with them. They test a lot on offers and subscriptions. They have the most data, as far as I know, from any D2C CPG brand when it comes to subscriptions, right? But if you look at it now, it looks normal. It's a regular Shopify checkout. It's actually, this performs very poorly compared to optimized version that I'm going to show you next. So there's a few key changes that you want to make always, right? So to start off, we have this section. Now, if you compare it to the past slide, it was just a logo. Now, you bring people to the checkout, you want to sell them right away on why they should actually buy from you, right? They already want your product, right? In Javi case, they want to buy their coffee. Now, why would they trust Javi to deliver them the coffee? That is because there's been 100 million plus coffees made with Javi. They have a 30-day guarantee. They offer fast shipping and a secure checkout. Another thing is you want to show some kind of timer. You push a bit of urgency. That's obviously a very standard tactic. You see it in booking.com. You see it everywhere. We all hate it, but it always works well. And then you have the final part, right? You have the checkout button. And that's the place where, that's the last touch point that people need to take, right? They filled in their address. There's one more button and they spent their money. So you want them to feel secure enough to really spend your money with them. Now, you do that by selling benefits. You sell them on why to buy from you. So Javi offers a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. They have over 1 million shipped products, and they show some reviews there. So any reason that anyone would have to actually not purchase from Javi would be gone by now, right? And they purchase, and the completion rate increases. Then I have a few extra checkout tips, small ones based on what we've seen over time and what's quite important. First of all, for Javi's case as well, as you can see here, we're using a count up timer, right? So it counts up from 0 to however long they take. That's mostly for the FTC. So they flag fake urgency as deceptive, can get you sued, a lot of compliance issues. It's a headache. We've tested showing a count up timer as that has no issues. There's nothing deceptive about it. And it performs equal. We've even seen cases in which there's better performance. Now, the most important thing in checkout, you want to sell the order, not the product. What does that mean? Is you focus on money back guarantee, shipping times, secure checkout, reviews, anything related to you as a brand and the order and what the consumer can expect. Because you've already sold the product at this point. They are in your checkout. So the only reason they would have purchased now is because they don't trust you as a brand to deliver them this product. So that's what you need to fulfill there. Now we have another case study. A common misconception we always see is that you want to make things as simple as possible for the consumer, which in a lot of cases is true, but it's something you must test. And I will show you why. This is Woofus, their page. As you can see, it is all over the place. It has a ton of information, and it significantly outperforms any simple product page that you test here. That's for a reason, right? They sell hip and joint support for pets. What we see is that supplement brands, health brands, pet-related supplement brands, things that people take in, they often see very good performance with extremely busy and kind of overwhelming pages. The reason behind this is that the consumer wants to know whether they're making the right call, right? What am I purchasing? They are not just buying a t-shirt. They're not just buying pants. You need to really sell them. You really need to convince them, be transparent. And that's what you do when you put a lot of information on the page. That's not a guaranteed winner, right? This is really a must test, but we've seen some really good performance with this. So what you want to do is you want to run an A/B test between a very simple page, right? Make the buyer journey super simple, just make them buy, that's it. And a busier content heavy page where you explain the product in a lot more detail. In a lot of cases, like this one with supplements and health brands, the busier page outperforms because customers need more detailed information before buying. So a visually clean design is not always the best for conversions, right? You need to ensure that the consumer is confident enough to spend money and get your product. The last one, and it's honestly my favorite, is offer and bundle testing. So in my opinion, it's the biggest lever for revenue growth. It's the simplest way to improve your profit margins, and it simply has the biggest effects. What does that look like? Here's an example, right? This product is in a bundle of 6 packs. You purchase that, you buy 6 packs for $13.50. You are limited to that, or you increase the quantity here, but there's no real reason for that because you're not saving more money. You're not able to easily add different flavors. You need to go back to fruity and veggie sticks, then choose a different flavor and buy that. You're making it very hard, and you don't really give the consumer a reason to spend more money with you. You know, what's a lot more effective is you allow them to select the quantity first. Okay, how much do you want? You give them a real incentive, right? Either spend $5.20 per bag, or you spend $3.20 per. Now, for the subscription brands here, you want to allow them to select frequency, and you can do a very, hard discount there initially, right? So you offer a severe discount, right? 42% off on a subscription, but that is only for the first order, right? Save on your first order. After that is 10% off on all deliveries. And we see very little churn with that tactic. So although you're increasing the price again afterwards, people still stay. And kind of the most vital part of this, and the biggest issue of this one before, is we're making it very, very simple for people to add the different flavors that they have. You don't need to go back and forth, right? You want 12 strawberry, you want 12 broccoli, 6 sweet potato, 6 pumpkin. You can get it all. And that gives you a real reason to choose 24 bags rather than 6 packs. And that's obviously massive for AOV, margin, subscription take rate, reducing churn. This is my favorite test. Let me put it that way. I think you can tell. But let's move on, right? So how do you actually test and measure? Now, most failed test comes from guessing, like I said kind of before. It's not really bad design. So the way that you properly build and validate a test is the following way. And I touched upon this quickly in the beginning as well, but it's an important slide to take note of. You want to start off with a very clear hypothesis, right? We believe that X will improve Y because of say. There has to be a reason, right? Why do we think that it will improve it? It's either ads data, it's data you see in email marketing, it's data you see elsewhere. And you choose a meaningful metric. Please, in most cases, choose profit per visitor, because in the end, you are looking to maximize your profit. You don't care about conversion rate. You don't care about average order value. You care about how much profit you make per visitor that you get on the site. Choose that over any metric. You also want to ensure that you're testing a very meaningful lever. So it's either offer, as before, copy obviously helps out and gives information again to the ad side and the email marketing side. Layout, okay, what do people want to see first? Is that how it works? Is that a ingredient section? What do people care about here? Don't test things like button colors, obviously, or paddings or anything in that direction. Now, we only start to look at statistical significance after a minimum duration of 2 weeks. Reason for this is if you run tests for 5 days, even though it has more than 500 orders per variant, it could be that 5 days there was one ad that was significantly overspending. And that ad may have just been causing that test was winning. Now that ad is gone, it's not going to win anymore. So we just want to have a long period so we can see that the trend is stable and we're actually choosing the right variant. Choose a minimum sample size of 500 orders per variant. And you want to see how the trend is. If it's stable, you can end it after looking at the statistical significance, right? You want that to be at least 95%. But if KPIs are fluctuating, like I showed you in the first test example, the test isn't done. You just need to wait it out a bit more. Now, how do you optimize post-test, right? You can stack wins here very easily to create larger gains throughout the funnel. So if you run a test on your product page, homepage, cart page, checkout, whatever, you've learned something from that. People care about X, people care about Y, people buy more when we do C, right? You apply that to your ads. If you run a copy test on your homepage banner and you find out that people really care about an angle that is about joint pain for dogs rather than what's in the supplement, right? You know now to use that in your ads. You can use that same angle, test it. Very likely that ad will perform well because that's what your consumers care about. Same with email marketing. If this convinced these people to buy on the site, then you can use that trigger again in your email marketing to make them buy more. You can apply it throughout your checkout pages, throughout your landing pages, test listicles, and everything. Now, out of every test, whether it is a winner or a loser, you get new test ideas. If you test a certain angle and it doesn't work, then now you know that angle doesn't work. This is not a losing test in my opinion, right? Because you've learned something from it. And now you know to test the opposite or test something else. You now know what went wrong and what you can improve on that. Now, that was it already, unfortunately. So I have a few final takeaways here. The one thing that I really want you to pick up from these slides is that the biggest mistake that brands make with A/B testing is they treat it as a project rather than a continuous process. And that is a very big mistake, right? CRO is like running ads. If you stop after a few campaigns, right, you have a few winning ads, you stick with that for the rest of the year, you're done. No, you're not, because performance is going to change, things are going to change over time. So you don't stop testing after a few experiments. This is a continuous process. This ensures that your ROAS increases, your CPAs go down. This ensures that you are more profitable overall. Every test, whether it wins or loses, creates new insights that drive future decisions. So every single thing that you test is vital for knowing how to do your ads, knowing how to do your email marketing, knowing how to improve your product. And that's why for me, it's really great that we have this seminar here, because CRO is the most important part in e-commerce as a brand after product. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to apologize once again that I wasn't able to be there. I know a lot of people that I wanted to see. Yeah, if there's anything, feel free to reach out to my Twitter or anywhere else. And yeah, thank you guys for being here.